There exists a pervasive and harmful stereotype. Male infidelity is more excusable than female infidelity. This belief is not only outdated, but also deeply damaging to both men and women. This harmful notion is deeply rooted in outdated gender roles and double standards. Historically, men have been seen as the dominant gender, with more freedom to act on their desires, while women were expected to remain loyal and submissive. These double standards permeate our society. They suggest that men are biologically wired for infidelity, implying that their actions are somehow more natural or acceptable. This is a gross oversimplification of human behavior. They imply that women are inherently more faithful, which is a stereotype that unfairly burdens women with the expectation of unwavering loyalty. This simply isn't true. Both men and women are capable of fidelity and infidelity. Infidelity is a betrayal of trust. It is a deeply personal act that transcends biological determinism. It affects individuals and relationships in profound ways, causing emotional pain and distress. This stereotype minimizes the emotional complexity of infidelity. It reduces a multifaceted issue to a simplistic and inaccurate binary. Infidelity is not just about physical acts. It involves emotional connections, trust, and the breaking of promises. Men and women experience a range of emotions. Love, desire, and the capacity for commitment are not exclusive to one gender. Both genders are equally capable of deep emotional connections and the pain of betrayal. We must challenge this harmful stereotype. By recognizing that infidelity is a complex issue that affects everyone, regardless of gender, we can begin to foster healthier, more equitable relationships. It's time to move beyond these outdated notions and embrace a more nuanced understanding of human behavior. Infidelity often creates cognitive dissonance, a state of mental discomfort resulting from holding conflicting beliefs. This dissonance is not just a fleeting feeling, but a profound internal struggle that can consume one's thoughts and emotions. Men who cheat, despite loving their partners, experience this dissonance acutely. They find themselves torn between their genuine affection for their partners and the betrayal they have committed. They grapple with the incongruence between their actions and their self-concept as loving and committed partners. This internal battle can lead to a deep sense of guilt and shame as they struggle to reconcile their behavior with their values. This internal conflict can manifest in various ways. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical symptoms like insomnia or loss of appetite. Some men may attempt to rationalize their behavior. They might convince themselves that the affair was a mistake or a moment of weakness, trying to downplay its significance. Others may minimize the significance of the affair. They might argue that it was just a physical act and doesn't affect their love for their partner. Some may even project their guilt onto their partners. They might become overly critical or accusatory, trying to shift the focus away from their own actions. Cognitive dissonance highlights the emotional turmoil infidelity inflicts on the cheater. It is a constant reminder of the pain they have caused and the trust they have broken. It underscores that infidelity is not a painless act. The emotional and psychological consequences can be long-lasting, affecting not just the cheater, but everyone involved.
Oxytocin, the hormone responsible for bonding and attachment, is released during intimate encounters, such as sexual activity and physical affection. While there is a stereotype that men cheat solely for physical reasons and remain emotionally detached from their affairs, this is a misconception. Men release oxytocin during sex just as women do, which fosters emotional bonds with their partners, even in extramarital situations. This undermines the idea that male cheating is purely physical and devoid of emotional consequences. The release of oxytocin in both the cheater and the cheated partner highlights the profound emotional betrayal that occurs when infidelity takes place, regardless of the gender of the cheater.
The emotional toll on the cheated partner is often more devastating than most people realize. The partner who is betrayed experiences feelings of shock, confusion, anger, and deep hurt. The foundation of trust in the relationship is shattered, leaving the betrayed partner struggling to understand why their commitment and love were disregarded. This emotional turmoil often leads to a loss of self-esteem, a sense of betrayal, and a significant decline in mental health. Many people who are cheated on experience symptoms of anxiety, depression, and emotional distress, which can persist long after the affair is discovered. The psychological damage can have long-lasting effects on their ability to trust in future relationships. Feelings of worthlessness and insecurity are common, and many struggle to regain their emotional balance after such a traumatic experience. The emotional consequences extend beyond the individual, often affecting children, families, and social networks. The cheated partner may also feel a sense of betrayal by society's tendency to dismiss or justify male infidelity based on outdated gender norms. This makes it even harder for the betrayed person to process their emotions in a supportive and empathetic environment.
Section 5. Deconstructing the myth of the alpha male. The concept of the alpha male, a dominant, successful man who is somehow excused from cheating because of his power and virility, is a myth rooted in outdated stereotypes and misapplied animal behavior studies. The idea that successful men are biologically driven to cheat in order to spread their genes is an oversimplification of human behavior. While evolutionary psychology may suggest some predispositions, humans are also capable of emotional attachment, loyalty, and commitment. The alpha male narrative dismisses the importance of emotional bonds and mutual respect in relationships, falsely claiming that men are inherently unfaithful due to their elevated social status or perceived masculinity. This myth not only undermines the integrity of monogamous relationships, but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes about men's emotional capabilities and responsibilities.
Pause 2s. The alpha male myth, which is often used to excuse male infidelity, originates from an inaccurate interpretation of wolf behavior. In the 1940s, a zoologist named Rudolf Schenkel studied wolves in captivity and observed what he described as an alpha male leading the pack through dominance and aggression. This led to the popular idea that dominant men in human society, particularly those in positions of power, are biologically predisposed to cheat in order to spread their genes. However, David Mech, a leading wolf researcher, later debunked this idea. Mech's studies revealed that wolf packs are generally familial, with the so-called alpha wolves simply being the parents of the pack. The hierarchical structure was not based on aggression, but on parental roles, with the pack functioning cooperatively to raise their young. This reinterpretation of wolf behavior clearly shows that the alpha male concept does not apply to either wolves or humans in the way it has been portrayed in popular culture. Section 6. Success and entitlement. The fallacy of the entitlement, based on success. The idea that success, whether derived from wealth, power, or status, entitles individuals to special privileges, particularly exemption from moral or ethical standards, is a deeply ingrained societal fallacy. This belief distorts principles of fairness and equality, fostering harmful narratives that justify unacceptable behavior based on an individual's achievements. Scientific research and moral reasoning provide compelling counter-arguments to this fallacy, demonstrating that success does not grant immunity from accountability. Here's why this belief should be rejected and replaced with a more ethical framework. Success does not justify harmful actions. One of the central elements of the entitlement fallacy is the idea that success in one area of life grants permission to act irresponsibly or harmfully in others. For example, the myth of the alpha male suggests that successful men are entitled to cheat, mistreat others, or behave in ways that undermine their relationships. However, success, whether professional, financial, or social, does not absolve individuals from their ethical obligations or the consequences of their actions. Research in moral psychology and social behavior shows that status and success do not inherently lead to more ethical behavior or greater empathy. A study published in Psychological Science, 2011, by Krauss, Piff, and Keltner found that individuals with higher social power often exhibit reduced empathy and increased self-serving biases. This phenomenon, known as the power paradox, indicates that power can decrease empathy, leading individuals to act in ways that disregard the well-being of others. This undermines the belief that success in any form should provide moral immunity. The belief that success grants immunity from moral responsibility undermines accountability and promotes a distorted moral framework. Individuals must be held to the same standards of ethical behavior, regardless of their status, to ensure fairness and justice in society. Section 7. The gender-neutral sting of betrayal. Equal emotional consequences. Infidelity inflicts significant emotional consequences on both partners, regardless of gender. The pain of betrayal, the shattering of trust, and the loss of intimacy are universal experiences. To suggest that men experience these emotions less intensely is not only inaccurate, but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes. It is essential to acknowledge and validate the emotional experiences of all individuals involved in infidelity.
Section 8. Unveiling the double standard, societal perceptions and their consequences. The societal double standard that excuses male infidelity while condemning female infidelity is deeply ingrained and harmful. This double standard perpetuates a culture of silence and shame, preventing men from seeking help and taking responsibility for their actions. It is crucial to challenge and dismantle this double standard, fostering a society that holds individuals accountable for their actions regardless of gender.
Historical and biological counter-arguments. The idea that historical figures, such as kings, warriors, or figures in religious texts, engaged in affairs, maintained concubines, or practiced polygamy to spread their genes, oversimplifies their motivations and is often used to excuse unethical behavior. While these practices were common in certain historical contexts, this does not justify such actions, either then or now. Here's why. 1. Historical context should not be used as an excuse. Historical figures engaged in behaviors like infidelity, polygamy, or taking concubines due to societal norms and power dynamics of their time. However, just because these practices were common does not mean they should be excused or replicated today. Social norms of the past. Many ancient practices, such as slavery or human sacrifice, were accepted in certain societies but were not ethically justified. Historical norms are not always morally correct or timeless. 2. Rejecting the justification of power and status as moral exemption. The myth that individuals in power were morally entitled to unethical behaviors like cheating perpetuates harmful attitudes about power and gender. Privilege and entitlement. Actions of kings and warriors were often driven by privilege and entitlement, not a biological need to spread their genes. This entitlement allowed powerful men to act without consequence, which cannot be excused. 3. Emphasizing modern values of consent and equality. Modern values of consent, equality, and mutual respect reject the idea that power or status grants one person the right to dominate or exploit another. Consent and autonomy. Many historical relationships were not based on mutual agreement, but on systems of power. Today, relationships should be founded on mutual respect and consent. Conclusion. The behaviors of historical figures should not be excused simply because they were common or accepted at the time. We should use these actions as opportunities to reflect on the importance of ethical accountability, equality, and the rejection of power-based privilege in relationships. Modern values of mutual respect, consent, and emotional well-being should be the standards by which we evaluate actions, past or present.
Section 10. Infidelity, a transgression beyond gender. Infidelity is a complex issue with far-reaching consequences. It is not just a simple act of betrayal, but a multifaceted problem that affects everyone involved. The emotional turmoil it causes can be devastating, leading to feelings of anger, sadness, and confusion. It is a transgression that inflicts pain, undermines trust, and can shatter even the strongest of bonds. The ripple effects of infidelity can extend beyond the immediate relationship, affecting families, friends, and even communities. The emotional scars left behind can take years to heal, if they ever do. To suggest that it is more excusable for one gender is not only inaccurate, but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes. These stereotypes can lead to unfair judgments and further emotional harm. It is crucial to understand that infidelity is a human issue, not a gendered one. We must move beyond simplistic explanations and address infidelity with the nuance and understanding it deserves. This means recognizing the various factors that can contribute to infidelity, such as emotional dissatisfaction, lack of communication, and unmet needs. By addressing these underlying issues, we can work towards healing and rebuilding trust. It is time to acknowledge the emotional complexities of infidelity and its impact on all individuals involved, regardless of gender. By fostering open and honest conversations, we can create a more compassionate and understanding society. Let us strive to support those affected by infidelity and help them navigate the difficult path towards healing and reconciliation.